What's up YouTube fam, Robbie C here. Today we are going to continue that practice to permanent series, and we're going to talk about an issue that a lot of people are finding, especially when you start trying to improve your game. You're going to hear many folks, myself included in that you need to get out there and practice putting as much as you possibly can. But can you practice too much is definitely the question that we're going to answer today. But before we dive into that video, I have to ask the most important question of the video. How are you doing today, Daryl? Are you having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
Having a practice putting routine or some form of ability to practice putt, I do think is monumental for seeing success while you're out there on the course. Because if, let's say, you're spending a lot of time focusing on distance, that truly doesn't matter when you get down to the basket if you have a 20-foot look at the putt and you miss it every single time. You might as well have thrown 100 feet shorter because you're going to be losing a stroke to the field, whether that was on the last 20 feet of the putt or whether you were 100 feet shorter. But I do think that lots of people can get too involved in this practice putting routine and spend a ton of time working their stroke while they're out there in their backyard, or maybe you don't even have a practice basket in your backyard and you find yourself on lunch breaks and things like that heading to a course and using the practice basket there. Regardless of your situation, how do you decide what is the right amount of time? And there are several people who have already tried to address this out on the internet. So I'm going to try to keep this as short and succinct as possible so that you can watch it before you head out to do your practice putting routine, especially let's say if you have a tournament coming up this weekend and you have spent a lot of time already out on the green. So let's grab our daggers and we are going to get the basket set up in the backyard and get to tossing. So let's start with an obvious question that I think a lot of people are going to ask, which comes down to strokes versus time. If I'm going to be putting in a practice putting routine, do I need to focus on, let's say, throwing 100 putts a day, or do I need to take it from the advantage of saying that I'm going to putt for 15 to 20 minutes a day? Both great points and great things you can look at. And personally, I've said before here on the channel that I'm always going to lean on the side of time, that you need to put aside a fixed amount of time that you're going to work because of a concept that I've never really labeled here, but we're going to talk about as quality strokes. Now, a quality stroke is something that I'm going to refer to as a stroke that has the most consistency or comparison to a putt that you're going to use while you're out there on the course. For instance, if you look at all of those putts that I was throwing while I was talking through that set just a moment ago, I was throwing putt after putt, had multiple putters in my hand while I was doing that, and I wasn't really thinking through doing any routine whatsoever. If I find myself while I'm out there on the course, unless I'm playing a very casual round with friends and we're just joking around while I'm doing it, playing super fast, most often I'm going to do my 5 spins in my hands, and then I'm going to make sure my grip feels good on the disc, take a deep breath, tell myself my mantra, man, it's going to be awesome when I make this putt, give the smile, think that happy thought, see the line, and send the putt. I'm going to be doing that routine most every single time that I'm out there on the course. So if I find myself in the backyard practice putting and I am putting a whole stack of putters in my hand and I'm just going through and firing rep after rep after rep, these are not quality strokes. Now, do those putts have a purpose? Absolutely. Let's say that I'm focusing on release angle and I'm focusing on really highlighting that 6 o'clock release point and trying to push the putter out of my hand. I'm trying to focus on getting my hand to the back of the putter. That is important, and really, I'm just getting that feel, getting that sensation out of the hand. And it's okay for me to have multiple putters in my hand while I'm doing that because I'm focusing on a specific part of my putting stroke. I'm focusing on a specific change, something I may need to highlight. So in that instance, I'm looking for reps, not necessarily quality reps. But if I never focus on quality reps, I'm rarely going to see translation of putting practice in the backyard to success on the course. Another important factor to consider when you're trying to decide between the time versus strokes debate is equipment. For instance, when it comes to having these Sense daggers, which is the plastic that I prefer to putt with, speaking of which, if your local shop or anyone you know has these Sense daggers available, hit a brother up in the comments, definitely interested. I've often told people if you want an efficient stack of putting putters to practice with, you need to find 10 putters in the same plastic and the same weight, because it's going to give you that freedom, or it's going to give you that ability to recreate what you're doing. If you have 10 different putters that you're starting with, I think it's great to be learning your putting stroke and your putting motion, but your hand and your grip alone is going to be different on each of those discs, because some are more shallow than others, some are deeper than others, some have a bead, others don't have a bead. And the first thing when I talk to people during putting lessons who don't seem to have consistency is I ask them to show me their grip while they're putting, and I like to see, oh, that was bad. I like to see if they are grabbing the putter the same way every single time. Do they have the same grip on their putter? Because if they aren't gripping the putter the same way, then that little bit of a difference, especially in this shorter range of 25 feet and in, you're not going to see the same results, because it's literally going to come out of your hand differently because you're simply gripping it different from the start. So if we're talking strokes versus time, let's say that I only have 2 putters that are the same. I only have this set of twins that are the same, and I've decided I really want to hone in really specific practice time. Well, if I just have these 2 putters and I only have 1 basket, I mean, Silas can start a little timer here. Let's go. Here we go. So I'm going to go, boom, trash. That was not great either, but it went in. All right, so I got to walk over. I got to grab these 2 putters, and then I got to walk right back to my 25-foot area. These are so bad. I'm rushing these so hard. But I'm just trying to get in 10 putts right here. And there's a timer going this entire time, and you can see it's just stacking up. And this is not me trying to get quality reps in. This is me just simply trying to get reps in. All right, we're at 6. Okay. Come on, Dennis. Why are we? That's rough, dude. I'm rushing this to try to like get the time right, but you can see right here, this is not effective use of practice time while I'm doing this. I'm not really learning a whole lot about my stroke. That's bad. There it is. Finally learned how to putt. There. That's how long it took me to make 10 putts. And as you saw, only like a handful went in because I wasn't doing practice. I was not getting quality strokes. I was just simply trying to maximize my time. So if you don't have a lot of equipment, time is probably not your best measure, because if I really tried to take the time to think through my stroke, get a quality rep in, reset my feet, those putts looked significantly better, and they felt significantly better, and they had much more of an impact on making me a better player at the end of the day. Let's say I even spent 20 minutes a day doing this, I wouldn't get that many reps in because I only have 2 putters and I only have 1 basket. So if you're low on the equipment side, I think it's important to say, hey, let's focus on a stroke count or things like that. But let's say you're in a different scenario and you've acquired quite a few baskets over time. I'm super blessed to have this position and opportunity that I do, to have a lot of disc golf equipment. I have these 2 Patriots the Dynamic Disc sent me. Inside the house, I have my DGA practice basket. Inside my shed that goes to the front yard, I have a Marksman basket from Dynamic Discs. Because I have all of these different targets, I can spend a little bit more time. Woo, those are bad. There it is. Okay. I can spend a little bit more time doing my stroke and getting different looks and opportunities. Are we gonna make one of these? Yeah. I can rotate around my backyard and have so many different opportunities to practice my putting stroke that I may not get from just recreating off of 1 basket. So 15 minutes for me can be spent very effectively working on, let's say, straddle putts from this station, going staggers from there to there. Simply having more equipment means that I can use my time more effectively while I'm out here. And if you have acquired a lot of equipment over time, then time may be the best use for you. But we still, I don't think, have answered the question effectively of how much time or how many strokes is too much time or too many strokes to be used to where I start working backwards. And the true answer to that, well, it kind of depends. At the beginning of this video, we talked about quality reps versus just reps. Let's say I'm trying to work on something. So I'm coming out here and let's say, I'm having an issue where I'm over rotating and I'm getting the disc to pull to the right. I know from experience that if I'm pulling the disc to the right, that means I've got too much wrist involved in the throw. Also means I'm probably not popping my fingers enough and causing a supination to come under the disc to give it its flat flight, and I'm kind of ripping it at the basket rather than trusting that it can float its way to the basket. That one floated, but it went to the right. So if I'm gonna spend the time working on my putt, trying to get the reps in, that is step one. If I've noticed a kink in my putt or something that's been off in my putt, then I need to spend a little bit of time in the beginning of my practice putting session working on that kink, making sure that I'm figuring it out, getting the reps in, not necessarily quality reps, to get that part of the game dialed, to get that part of the putt dialed. Once again, I'm trying to simulate the feel of the change that I'm looking for in the putt. However, the next part of the journey to actually take it from practice to permanent is to then take those changes that I was feeling in my putting stroke and apply them to a quality stroke and see, am I actually feeling that change? Notice these quality putts are a lot better because I'm getting that feeling, the practice of, man, I am yanking this to the right. I'm letting it simply come out of my hand rather than focusing on over wristing it. I'm trusting the pop of the disc and letting it go. I need to see that translation. I need to see that happen. Now, how do I know I've taken it too far? How do I know I've practiced too much? When that starts to feel solid, usually what I tell myself is that I'm going to give it another 3 minutes worth of practice. When everything seems to be aligning, I'm going to give it another 3 minutes of quality strokes, not just rep after rep. Because if I put too many reps in, or I spend too much time saying, oh, I have to cement this, oh, I have to do this, then what's gonna happen is eventually something is going to adjust. Because I am a human, because I'm not a robot throwing shot after shot, my body may fatigue. I may become a little dehydrated. Something may start breaking down, and because of that, I'm going to start adding power in a variety of different ways. I'm gonna start making subtle changes to my stroke, and when I do that, I'm going to continue to build habits of what I don't want my putting stroke to actually look like. So my 3 minute rule tells me, hey, I am going to practice this for the next 3 minutes. And right there, see, I've already changed something. I've gone back to wristing it. I've gone back to too hard. So I have a choice. I'm at a crossroads. I can either say, hey, let's go back to normal strokes for a quick second, get the feel of it, and then go back to quality putting strokes. Or I can say, that's not going well, something must be off. Perhaps it's the idea that we feel like we're on the surface of the sun here in Alabama, and if you spend 45 minutes outside, you are dehydrated as all get out, even though it feels like, oh, it's a little overcast today, things should feel wonderful. Nope, joke's on you, we're all dying slowly because it is so daggum hot. So I'm gonna throw just a couple more and remind myself, totally fine with that putt. That putt feels amazing. That's consistent, and that is dead on the money. I'm gonna look at those moments and say, check. The putt feels really good. Sure, they didn't all go in, and lots of times people will say, oh, I have to make 50 in a row before I go in. But we can end up making some really bad putts that go in, and we're not trying to teach ourselves just simply what goes in. We're trying to teach ourselves a solid putt when we're in the backyard practice putting. Now, if you don't have the equipment and you know 3 minutes is not going to be quality enough for you, I would say the other answer is you want to throw about 20 more putts that are gonna feel really good. We aren't concerned whether they hit the band, we aren't concerned whether they hit the cage. You want them to feel good. We'll worry about the results later. Now, I'm gonna make a comparison here that if my wife were to watch it, and thankfully I bet she won't watch this video, but my mom might, it's gonna feel a little bit hypocritical here. So I'm going to relate putting practice to the dentist. I think you're supposed to get a cleaning every 6 months to a year at the dentist. And if you have really bad dental habits and you aren't brushing your teeth on a regular basis, and you decide the week leading up to the dentist, here we go, I'm brushing them teeth, I'm flossing, I'm using rinse it, like I'm doing all the things. Odds are when you get to the dentist, you're probably still going to have some really bad symptoms inside of your mouth. Cavities might be apparent, all of the bad things. But even if you aren't flossing on a regular basis, if you're still brushing your teeth at least once a day going through, the odds of your habits being so bad and your dental health being so bad seem to be a lot lower if you just add slow maintenance over time. If you're going into your backyard and you're trying to create a practice putting routine and your putt feels off and you're only practice putting once a week, you're only practice putting for the week leading up to your tournament, and then you take 2 months off of never practice putting again, this, pretty much everything we said in this video, isn't really going to matter because you haven't developed a solid practice putting routine that you can build off of. However, if you get out there and let's say work on your 50 strokes a night or 15 to 20 minutes a night, which is what I personally would suggest, especially if you have a lot of equipment available, you're going to notice that I get to that solid feeling of my 3-minute check mark way faster. Some days you're gonna get out there and you're only gonna need to putt for 10 minutes because it's gonna feel really good and you're gonna hit that 3-minute reminder, bang, bang, you're ready to go, and hey, go watch another episode of Stranger Things with your significant other. However, other nights you're gonna have had a long day at work, it's going to be a little hotter than usual, whatever the circumstances may be, and you're going to probably end up with a little more time on that 15 to 20 minute end. But if you are constantly working on your putt, if you're constantly making sure that it stays like a fine-tuned oiled machine, like a fine oiled machine, what am I trying to say there? You guys get it. You won't have to spend as much time working on your putt. If you are someone that spent a year really dialing in your putt and then you just tell yourself that for the next year you don't have to really work on it because, heck, I spent all that time and effort on it anyways, sorry to tell you, you're gonna be disappointed because putting is something that you do need to be putting reps in a consistent basis. However, I don't think that you have to spend as much time if you put in the hard work over time. If you maintain it and put in the work little by little throughout your disc golf career, I promise that it's going to be way easier to maintain a good putt once you find it than trying to randomly find your good putt once every few months. So what's my final answer on how many putts do I need to work on to have consistent or good practice? I think once again, it truly comes up to you. If I were to give you my personal answer, I like to spend 15 minutes a day in the backyard doing putting practice. I usually try to do that rain or shine, and if I really can't make it happen, please don't rat me out to my wife, but I definitely set up some blankets behind the basket that I have inside, and I putt through my kitchen and at least give myself some 20 footers to make sure that I'm getting that rep in each day. The times where I am putting on a consistent basis and I'm not overworking the putt, trying to basically push it until it breaks, time where I'm just fine-tuning it and keeping it dialed are the times that I have been the best putter in my disc golf career. The final little thing that I'll add, and it's something that I know probably would be like a full sponsor spot in this video, but something that really has helped me like 100%, and they're not paying for an ad sponsor in this video, is Disc.dot. I really do think Disc.dot is a phenomenal product, and when you talk about quality reps, since I started adding Disc.dots to my putting routine, it has helped me in phenomenal ways let myself know on fewer reps when that disc crashes into the dot. It tells me, wow, all the happy juices are releasing and I need way less quality putts working with these disc dots. And I mean, this is like an original prototype they sent me. This thing has been out in the sun in my backyard for actually years and it still looks great. Even you can see just the difference. I think this red dot right here is the first one they ever sent me. And you can see the color difference, but like quality of the plastic has not changed at all. Still really great target, and they're pretty affordable. You can use code RC Disc Golf at disc.usa.com to check that out. Once again, minor plug, but hot Jiminy, do those things work? All right, I said short and succinct, and if I had to bet, this video is going to be like 14-15 minutes, so that's my bad. I get really passionate about putting compared to everything else, and because it's something that I've spent a lot of time working on, and I'm a firm believer that, like, if I'm in person with pretty much any human being, in 30 minutes of putting practice, I can at least get you some form of a consistent putt, or give you on the roadway or on the path towards finding that consistent putt. So very passionate about this. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope it addresses a question that I know many of you have had in your putting routines. In the meantime, I want to say thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments if you have questions that I did not address during this video. I would be happy to address them in the comments afterwards. In the meantime, I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're going to leave you with the birdie.